Hello everybody, Average Gamer here, and welcome to another episode of Mech Lore for MechWarrior Online. So the mech we're looking at today is the Firestarter. There's a couple things you need to know about the Firestarter. Number one, it was produced in 2550. It's a inner sphere light. It costs around 3 million C-bills for the tabletop. In the game, it's actually roughly around the same price, actually. 35 tons, I don't know if I mentioned that before. It's built by three different companies: Argyle Technologies, Country Metalworks, and Dipless Battleaxe. Overall, it's got 10 heat sinks, goes 97.2 kph. The main variant of it, which is the H, has 4 flamers, 2 medium lasers, and 2 machine guns. Battle value of this thing, version 1.0, is 500, and 2.0, it's 694. A couple things about the Firestarter. Number one, over 3,000 of these things saw action in the Ameris Civil War in 2776. So 200 years after this thing got built, over 3,000 of them saw battle during a civil war. Because of the mech's popularity in this war, it was included in pretty much every succession war after that. The third succession war, it was utilized a lot. Though in the third succession war, the Argyle plant that I mentioned, the Argyle Technologies, they got wiped out, and then Coventry took over the construction and the building of the Firestarter. Later on in its lifetime, the Firestarter was actually used to basically replace newer mechs. It was basically kind of filled. It was basically a hole filler, basically. A couple things you need to know about the Firestarter. Number one, it actually utilized what its name was for. The MechWarrior pilots were quote unquote fond for or known in lore, are fondly known for starting forest fires in heavily wooded areas. So the mechs, when they advanced through buildings, and that would be basically funneled through certain areas that have issues with their heats and all that stuff. The mech was also notorious for being utilized in scorched earth tactics. Makes sense. Over time, they were dwindling in numbers, and they were replaced by the wasps and stingers and things like that. The mech did perform later in the later succession wars, the third and the fourth ones. But by the fourth one, they weren't the frontline, creme de la creme mech anymore. Over time, they were actually put in place of other lost mechs, mediums and light specifically. They were actually kind of slowly putting them back into a frontline role, specifically with the Federated Commonwealth in 3049, when they released the S variant, which had a whole bunch of lost tech in it. The S variant in the mech had things like AMS, Beagle Active Probe, Endo, things that we already have in MechWarrior Online. The variant we have in MechWarrior Online is the Lost Tech variant. The ones prior to that had rotary autocannons. That was the 3109 variant. So that came out a little later as well. But the main variant that you normally would see on the table is usually the H, with 4 heavy flamers, 2 medium lasers, and a large and two machine guns. Now, there is the B variant, the World of Blake variant. It's got light ferro, endo, light fusion engine, flamers, ER mediums, a better computer theoretically, and improved jump jets for capabilities. Overall, very, very good mech for hit running, flanking, and causing overall damage to infantry as well. Very good mech, very good light mech. One of my favorites. One thing I want to mention is the Ember here. The Ember technically is not a lore mech. If you were to modify it a little bit, which we'll get into on the mech lab here, you would have to give this thing, to make it a lore mech, let's go to expanded. It's pretty close. It's missing basically the 2 medium laser slots. If it had 2 more energy slots, like one another torso or something, then it would be the H variant. Fortunately, it's not. We don't really have an Amber, or there is no Amber really in lore. There's a couple mechs close to it in build and composition, But in the end, there is no 4-flamer dual machine gun variant. That I could see. There might be one in there somewhere. There is the B by the World of Lake, as I mentioned. It's got 3 flamers, some ER mediums, and better heat sinks. I mean, that's the closest one, to be honest with you. The A has a whole bunch of small lasers on it. There you go. Anyways, that is the Firestarter. In the next episode, we're going to look at the Jenner, one of my other favorite lights. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.